atheism. I'm sorry. He says Protestantism is the beginning of atheism or something like that.
Atheism is the natural endpoint of Protestantism.
And it is. Okay, so here's a big reason why. So like every time we do a show, I talk about these ancient things that have been like old cultures had ritual, right? Like these ancient cultures all had ritual. That's why there's pyramids all over. That's why you see these monoliths all over the place. Protestantism, by taking away liturgy, what it did was take away the ritual of Christianity. And when you lose the ritual, you lose the faith. It's why you cannot lead the sacraments, guys. Like when you lose the ritual, the ritual is how you embody the faith. That's why when you see these ancient cultures, when you see the temples to Artemis Ephesia, and when you see all these different temples, that's what they are. The whole culture would come around, build this giant temple, and then all worship together and practice in a ritual. And that is what keeps the culture together. Only Christianity can spur on atheism. There's never been an atheist culture in the history of humanity. Mankind has an intuitive thing in it that it needs to know where it came from everywhere. Like when you hear these ancient myths of this godlike figure came and taught the people how to move stones to build these monoliths, these are all things that without these creation myths, we lose everything. Like the culture just falls apart. So when you see even the collapse of Rome, you see this all the statues become androgynous. You start to see a blurring of lines between men and women. So like Camille Paglia talks about this, how like all of like the gender stuff starts coming in, and a lot of it has to do with people stop practicing the ritual, they stop practicing the cult, right? So people hear the word cult and they get turned off, but a cult is a form of worship, right? It's like we have like creed, code, cult is like what we believe and how we worship and how we bring the ritual to it. So when people say I'm spiritual but not religious, that's nonsense. You're better off being religious but not spiritual. Like you're better off going to the ritual, and by going to the ritual, you will embody the faith, and then you will have it. So I got so mad at my dad the other day because my dad's like, yeah, what do I need to be in the building? Why do you think they made us wear masks? Why do you think they made us wear masks? Because by making you wear the mask, the stupid thing was always on your mind. It was always, because people don't watch the news 24/7 like you know. So what do? How do you get it in everybody's mind? Make everybody wear a mask.
Saying stay safe every time you talk to someone.
See, it's like it's just so crazy that people don't.
That might as well be a Novus Ordo response.
Lex orandi, lex credende. There's never been a more true statement. The way you pray is what you will believe. So these rituals that we do, they make you believe it. That's why they made us wear masks that whole time. It is a ritual. It's just crazy how people don't understand, like especially Protestants, man. It drives me crazy that they don't get what Catholics are doing at all. Oh, you worship the saints, you worship Mary. Just shut up, you moron. We're trying to we're trying to build the kingdom on earth, not in some utopian communist way, which that's why our cathedrals are the way they are. Our cathedrals are castles for the king. And when you go inside that castle, you're actually supposed to pray in a way where you envision yourself surrounded by the angels and saints in this royal castle, because you're sitting before the king.
Of all the Protestants that would, bewail and bemoan Catholic cathedrals, how many of them do you think would, right this instance, if they could, give money to the creation of a third temple in Israel covered in gold?
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah, like they have such a minor understanding of what Catholicism is, man. It's like, and even Catholics, like sometimes our faith is so deep and so vast that you could miss some of these things, like because you kind of you're focusing on the saints, and you have that devotion or whatever your particular devotion is. But especially for me as a man, like understanding how grand the story is, that from the beginning of time, like, and when you read through scripture and you see all these little details, how God fulfills prophecy, and how the temple itself, like if you don't understand how important you know what, I'm saving that for Taylor. A lot of this stuff I want to get into, but I want to save for Taylor, because I am so excited to get a biblical scholar on to really like open some of these things up. What do you think we should talk to him about? Because I'm thinking we should ask him, how does the old Testament, like how does the old covenant priesthood prefigure the new? I want to
Mhm.
talk to him about the significance of the temple and the significance of Jesus's body as a temple. Like that's kind of what I want to get into with him and try to show people how, like, there has to be one church. We are one body. We are one body. One the bread. We, though many, are one body because we partake of the one bread, because we are in a Eucharistic kingdom. And it's like I really want to kind of bring that theme to that show when we get him on. I think the first 20 minutes or so, I have a ton of questions I'm going to ask him. I mean, you get Taylor on, you got to ask him some stuff, but ask him how he makes an appletini. He has
I
been to
think
Rome.
going from where everything you just said, but then also connecting it to, especially because of his most recent book, how that all connects to how like the apocalypse shows us the heavenly liturgy, how how it
The
shows
heavenly
us
liturgy and the heavenly
the
temple.
communion of saints.
The
Yeah,
heavenly like,
yeah,
look, if we
right.
do the Old Testament priest, like the Old Covenant priesthood prefigures the new, how the temple prefigures the Jerusalem temple at the end of time, and and Jesus's body as a temple. Like I think we could kind of, well, Molly. The thing is, I, I feel like everybody gets him on and just wants to talk. Like I've tried to make it clear that's not like even this the Baron conversation. Like we're not talking about Baron. We're trying to bring a conversation to what those guys said and bring in the substance of that conversation and have our own, have it spawn our own conversation off from it. So like it's not about yeah, of course we're going to talk about Roach and stuff, but that's not really where we want this show to go. If you have an opportunity to get a guy like Taylor Marshall on, you don't talk to him about the crisis in the church. People want to hear
Yeah.
about that. They go to Taylor's channel, what he does on his podcast.
I,
We want to pick this guy's brain about biblical typology.
I would love to talk to him about how the TLM especially connects back to Old Testament temple worship, especially in comparison to the new mass. Because so many people feel like the new mass is was meant to go back to the early Christians, and when really in reality, the TLM especially connects us directly back to the Old Testament.
It's the fulfillment.
Exactly.
It is the fulfillment of the imperfect liturgy they had in the old covenant that
Hmm.
foreshadowed the new. Like it really did foreshadow what was to come in the new, and that's what I really want to pick his brain about. Margot really does want us to get to the Nouveau Theologie comments that they made, so let's bring that article back up.